Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, I'll call it in the meeting, the open session of the Arlington Independent School District Board of Trustees on April 3rd at 7:03 p.m. I want to thank everyone for coming out to be with us this evening. We will start our meeting with the opening ceremony. We've already sang to him earlier, so you may be missing out, but it is his birthday, and so with that, we'll ask him to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Michael Hill. And Mr. Hill and all his staff spend many a nights where it would normally be a birthday. We have Mr. Branham over there, his wife's birthday tonight, but instead they get to be at a board meeting. So we thank them, and at this time of the year, we know how much you guys spend, so on behalf of the board, we want to thank you for that. And Mr. Hill, what a better way to celebrate your birthday than being here with us tonight. So thank you, sir, but thank you seriously for all the work you're doing. At this time, would you please, are you already seated? Thank you, and please silence all cell phones, electronic devices to avoid disruptions. And now, if you would, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Now we get to the fun part. The first item on our agenda is program presentation. Tonight, as you can see, we have a few students in front of us. This evening, we get treated to the musical offerings of the Butler Fiddlers under the direction of Miss Jenny McHenry. Miss McHenry, take it over, and then I'll talk about them a little bit when they're done. I would have waved also, Miss McHenry. I would have done that also. So, congratulations to Butler and Miss McHenry. A wonderful job with these students. You guys are doing a great job. How many of y'all, this is your first year playing a strings instrument? Whoa, a couple. 2. Second year. How many second year? Sorry, that's what I meant. Wonderful. You guys are doing wonderful, wonderful. It's a great, great job. On April 5th, 42 Butler students will participate in the AISD solo and ensemble, and there are a total of 63 students in the Butler Orchestra, which is amazing to have for an elementary school. Tonight they performed March Heroic, and then we asked one of the students up here right before, because he was standing close enough to us, which one, and that second song was the Muppet Show theme. So you guys did a great job. We're very proud of you. Thank you for your performance tonight. Behind every great performer is a parent helping them move things. So thank you all.
Thank you, parents.
You can prove that by watching any Friday night from our band, the army of parents that come in and assist with that. So that is the proof. Next, we get to move on to one of our great events we do every month, our April 2014 Student of the Month. I see him sitting up there. Yeah, I see the smile right now. So why don't you, Antonio, why don't you come on and come up to the front? Because we want to brag on you while everyone can see you. We'll get him up there. Just stand right at the podium. So tonight we get to honor Antonio Grimaldo, correct?
Yeah.
From Venture High School as our Student of the Month. So let me read a couple of things about Antonio.
All right.
This is the time we get to brag on you, if that's okay. So Antonio is a valued leader and role model at Venture High School. His outstanding work ethic and contributions to the school can be seen daily. Antonio has done everything from assisting in painting the mural in the cafeteria and decorating the front office for the winter holidays to serving Thanksgiving dinner for the pet program and updating the graduation bulletin board. He's a member of the Green Team Recycling Program, participated in a bake sale fundraiser to benefit New Day Mission, and he's made T-shirts for the Campus Incentive Program. Antonio is also an outstanding student and has excellent character. So with that, Antonio, let me just say we honor one student a month on behalf of the entire board and the entire district, and this month it is our distinct honor to reward you with the April AISD Student of the Month going to Antonio Grimaldo. So we're going to come down there and get the picture in just a second. But,
right.
Antonio, at this time, please, if you would, please introduce who came with you, your advisor, and your principal also, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, my advisor is Miss Dorsey. And
Hi, Miss Dorsey.
my mom is Irma with my little brother. And my principal is Miss McReynolds.
Perfect.
And I'm Antonio.
Antonio, what do you want to say about Venture High School?
Oh, well, it helped me a lot. I catched up. I'm a junior now. I'm proud. And it's a good school. I like
Good.
it.
Miss Dorsey and Miss McReynolds, would y'all please come down? I would love to have a few minutes of you guys bragging, especially you, Miss Dorsey, on Antonio. I said a few minutes because I know you probably could go for 20 or 30 with that. So, and it's well deserved.
I have Antonio in class this 6 weeks, and I had not had him prior to this time. I'd heard good things. The other teachers just love him. But one day, I praised him because he had done a particular chapter. I teach computer applications. He had done a particular chapter that's really slows everybody down because it's learning how to format reports in a certain college format. And he just flew through it. And I said, wow, Antonio, that's great. How did you do that? And he said, well, I just listened to what you said and I followed the directions.
Simple as that.
So, it was as simple as that. And we try to tell all the kids it's that simple. But he's caught on, and he just turned 18. And so often our students at 18, they think, well, I'm grown. I need to go out and get a job, I need to be on my own, I need to do all this, but he realizes the value of education.
Good.
I've not heard 1 ounce of that from him. So he's determined, and I appreciate that.
We're very proud of you, Antonio. We're very proud of everyone at Venture. If you've never, I'd tell anyone in the community, if you've never visited Venture, Mr. Reynolds, I'm telling them to come visit because it is awesome. It is
Thank
one
you.
of the coolest experiences.
It is.
And seeing students like you, Antonio, doing all the right things, everything right on track, and how you're not only doing it for yourself, you're doing it to influence your little brother,
Yeah.
and also these other students that are in there with you with your communication. I can't thank you enough, and I'm so proud of you on behalf of the whole board and the AISD. So at this moment, if Dr. Vassos join me, we'd love to present you with a little token. Stay down there, Ms. Thornton.
Pretty shy.
Huh?
Pretty shy.
You are?
Yeah. I didn't know what to say.
I didn't.
Nice to meet you.
Antonio, on behalf of the board, you can put it wherever you want. Each student each month can decide whatever they want. We say on your ID badge, or you can wear it on your collar every day, whatever you like. But these are lapel pins that only the board give out, and they're specifically on behalf of the board. So please take this as you're one of our special ones now. So thank you. Okay, look at Mr. Rel. You get it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Perfect. Congratulations, Antonio. Congratulations to you. Next, we get to do something new that we are going to start. Now, let me give a little backstory on this. This year, we just started recognizing a student of the month every single month. We started really putting some focus on how do we recognize our groups. We've been out and about in the community speaking, and we talk with all the groups. We have all of our church groups. We have all of our civic organizations. And just last week, we were in speaking to an organization. And they made it very clear to us. We'd all talked about how do we recognize civic groups more and community partners that really, we all know we can't do things in public schools if we don't have groups assisting us. And we had the discussion, and they said, you need to recognize people more. And we said, you know what, you're right. We need to do it at the board meeting instead of just our schools doing it. How do we recognize more? And we had that moment. So we have now started just in this last week, and we're going to do this every single month to recognize organizations that have been huge assets that our schools and groups couldn't do without recognition, without the help from civic groups. So tonight is my distinct honor to have the very first community award go to, and I'm going to read a couple of words, to our Arlington Lions Club. So, Greater Arlington Lions Club. I'm sorry, I forgot the greater. So come on up. Come up, I'm going to read, and then we'll get you all up there in a second. Just stay up there. So let me read. Tonight we're presenting, this is award of appreciation to the Greater Arlington Lions Club. Let me just talk about these volunteers. They help with our district and students in numerous ways. They've helped organize vision clinics, which I just saw today at the Ford Eye Center, your Greater Arlington Lions Club box right there. They provide free eye exams and glasses for students in need all over the district. Over the years, more than 2,400 AISD students have received eye exams and glasses through this effort. They collect used glasses at our high school campuses and recycle the frames for children who cannot afford to purchase frames. They partner with Arlington Masonic Lodge to provide scholarships for high school seniors and also support individual campuses. Along with that, we know the volunteer hours and all the work you do just to keep this community going. So with that, I'd like to introduce the club president, Mr. John Goss, and say congratulations on having the very first AISD District Appreciation Award. John, any words from the Lions Club?
From the Lions Club, I'd just like to say we're honored. It's a tough act to follow. Antonio, we gave out a scholarship last year at Venture High School. It was our first ever. Jerry Blanco and myself were the presenters. It is truly an amazing high school. The things that you're doing there, you're turning kids' lives around. What I brag on y'all about is that you're results oriented. You're a team, you're working together, you're restructuring the school district with total results as your end means, your end goal. And we are 100% on board with that. Any way that we can help, we'd like to. If I could, I'd like to introduce
Please,
my
by all means.
fellow members. John Lord, he is a colleague of mine. We work together as a design engineer as well as a salesman. My son-in-law, Corey Harris. He works for his father, so he, has got a pie job. Steve Shipe, he's former past master of Arlington Masonic Lodge. Bill Cummings, he will be the Lions Camp Director next year. He was his own chairman this year. Our most esteemed member, Frank Luttrell. Frank landed in Normandy on D-Day.
Wow.
He is 93 years old, seldom ever misses a meeting, and he is truly one of our heroes in our club. Miss Susan, she is a new member with us. She works in the medical profession. Scott Long. What do you do, Scott? Something that keeps him from, missing every other meeting, but he gets there on occasion. He's been with the group forever. Dan Dawkins, our past president, who brought me into the club. We've been friends for a good while. Probably the most faithful guy you'll ever meet. He's at every function. He'll do anything you ask him to do if it's for a good cause. But really, our pleasure comes out of being able to do something like a vision clinic and see a child that's only fault, through no fault of their own, is they can't see. They don't have a pair of glasses. We can give them a pair of glasses. We waived everything that obstructed that, all the paperwork, all the financials. If they need a pair of glasses, send them to the clinic. Dr. Moody partners with us. He is invaluable. But the nurses also from the AISD, we have volunteer nurses that come in every week. But on April the 16th, we're going to honor them for their volunteer service. We can't do it without them. We can't do it without these guys showing up. We do anything we can. We try to keep it local as much as we can to influence, to be an impact on our community. Our motto is we serve, and that's what we try to do. And it is such a pleasure to work with a group of people like you guys that, like I said, it is, in the last few years, just remarkable to see the strides that y'all are making to change our community. All of my children have already graduated. They all went through AISD. I've got grandchildren, 2 now, that are going to go through probably AISD, and I want to see their future enhanced, and y'all are on the right road to doing that, and we support you 100%, and thank you for everything and all of your back support to us. On behalf of the Lions Club, I thank all of you.
John, thank you so much. And if the club would, what?
Jerry Blanco, I mentioned him one time. Oh, Mr. He was the one that was at the presentation with me at Pantego, and I'd like to say Jerry is a former Marine. There are no ex-Marines. Yeah. He fought for our country, Afghanistan, and Iraq, and I truly thank him for his service.
Thank you. And to all the Lions Club, let me just say thank you once again. It's a distinct honor, and we're glad. We know you guys do it for service, but we're glad to be able to honor you. And we're so proud to have your group as our very first organization. We're starting, and you're the first of many that we're going to be recognizing and giving the due thanks and gratitude, because we can have all the ideas, and staff can, and schools can, but if we don't have community groups like you, students don't have glasses, it makes reading a little tough. And so it's those obstacles you're helping them overcome, which allow our teachers to be able to do what they love to do and teach our students. So we can't thank you enough. And if I would ask, if the whole club would please stand, Dr. Cavazos and I would love to come down and present you with a token of gratitude.
Photo.
While we're in the process of teaching, the Pledge of Allegiance has no pause between one nation under God. It's one nation under God, no pause. Get it right. I'm a teacher too.
Was it small? Where are we supposed to?
What are we doing over here?
We're presenting you guys a plaque, so. Okay, John. John, on behalf of, where are we?
Right there.
Here, turn this way. We're going to get a picture.
Okay.
Marcelo.
Picture 30, okay.
Sure.
Blend in with the wall.
That's right.
Come on up this
Can
way,
you get back
Dr.
far enough?
Cavazos.
Spence will fix that.
Spence is fixing.
All you amateurs, get ready.
Dan calls this a gripping grin.
There you go.
Here you go. The grip and grip. We saw it the other day.
There you go, looking good. Let's do a couple more. Susan, go left, just
Can
go
you
left, right
see?
there. Not zip your pants up.
Are you okay?
There you go, looking good. Right there, good. One more thing. Right there. Put that in the back.
Perfect. Here you go. And
Dan, get in here.
here.
We keep him out of the pictures
Stand
on
here.
purpose.
Stand here. Stand here. Stand here. They're good. Hold it up. We're good.
Don't tell him what to do, he carries a gun. Okay. That'll work.
And on behalf of the ISD, we'd like to present each one of you, as we described earlier with Antonio, one of our pins that can only be given out by the board members. And so we wanted to we'd ask you if you're allowed to please wear this. We'll let you. So we would like to give each one of these and just remind you, thank you for all your hard work.
Yeah, nice to work with you.
Thank you, sir. You think anybody around town tell us what to do?
I think you're a tough group.
We appreciate it. Dr. Cavazos. Appreciate it.
Frank, thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Thank you. We have more? We'll grab more. No, we have more. Thanks. Uh-oh. Go ahead, John. Thank you, Scott.
You bet. Thank you.
Good one, John.
I understand
There you
you're
go.
the first thing, baby.
Yes, sir.
He says, yes, sir.
Uh-oh. There you go. Thank you, John.
One more?
Oh, always a pleasure. Thank you. Did you get one in?
No.
Thank you. Bill, thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Okay.
Gentlemen,
Thanks.
thank all of y'all. I think we got everybody covered.
We got everybody covered. Get out of the way so they can continue on.
Folks, thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. In future months, we'll figure out where to stand and things like that, so. Thank you, the Arlington Lions Club. Next, we'll move on to appointments. Dr. Cavazos.
This time, we don't have appointments. I'd
Oh,
like to
sorry.
introduce our Director of Professional Development, Dr. Jacqueline Kennedy. We can clap. Dr. Kennedy most recently was the Director of Professional Learning in Louisville, has been an Associate Director in Learning Forward, has been the Director of Professional Development in Frisco ISD, has been the Coordinator of Planning, Evaluation, and Research in Irving, has been a specialist in the Dallas ISD, has been a teacher in Duncanville. Dr. Kennedy attended Grambling State University and received her Bachelor of Science in Elementary Education, Dallas Baptist University, Master of Arts in Counseling, and then her doctorate in the University of North Texas in Applied Tech and Performance Improvement. Dr. Kennedy, congratulations and welcome. Anybody you'd like to introduce or anything you'd like to say?
It's all me, and thank you, and yes, to President Hogg, to the members of the board, and Dr. Cavazos. I am very appreciative for this opportunity and would like to thank Evan Smith for trusting me enough to do this work. and also my husband and daughter, who are extremely supportive and have been very encouraging as I make this decision to transition to Arlington ISD. And so thank you very much. That's all I have.
Candy, welcome to the team and the family. As is our custom, we ask you please follow, Mr. Hill, to the lobby for a received line so we can meet you and welcome you. At this time, we will take a short break reception until about 7:40. Call this meeting back to order at 7:40 p.m. Actually, right on time. Yeah. We're doing lots of things correct. Next, we have no public hearings, so we will move on. Next, we come to open forum for agenda items. Ms. Jones, I didn't see any cards. Do we have any? Having no agenda, no open forum, we will go on to action items. First, we'll move to action item A. Next on our agenda is the order amending the order calling the May 10th school bond election for place 6 and 7. On January 16th, we as a board approved an order calling a school board election for place 6 and place 7 on May 10th, 2014, a general election date. School board election. Good, Ms. Castillo? Okay. Following the adoption of the original order, Tarrant County election officials provided the final early voting and election day voting site list for the election of the district. Early voting and election day voting sites are included in the order of election. Therefore, it is appropriate to amend the original order to incorporate the final voting locations and to provide notice of the election using said final list. The only change to the order is the location of the early voting sites and election day voting sites. I need a motion to amend the order of election that was approved on January 16th, 2014. Do we have a motion?
Yes, President Hogg. I move to approve a motion to amend the order of election that was approved on January 16th, 2014 to include early voting sites and election day voting sites.
Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Solons and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any further discussion? Dr. Rush? Okay. No further discussion. Please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting the affirmative. We have passed a motion. Next, we'll move on to action item B, order amending the order calling the May 10th, 2014 bond election. On February 13th, 2014, we as a board approved an order calling a bond for May 10th, 2014, a general election date. The order includes one proposition in the amount of $663,130,000 for the purpose of the acquisition, construction, and equipment of school buildings in the district and the purchase of school sites and new school buses. Following the adoption of the original order, Tarrant County election officials provided the final early voting and election day voting site list for the election to the district. Early voting and election day voting sites are included in the order of election. Therefore, it is appropriate to amend the original order to incorporate the final voting locations and to provide notice of the election using said final list. The only change to the order is the location of early voting sites and election day voting sites. I need a motion to amend the order of election that was approved on February 13th, 2014. Do we have a motion?
I move to approve a motion to amend the order of election that was approved on February 13th, 2014 to include early voting sites and election day voting sites.
Thank you. You have a motion by Ms. Pena. Do we have a second?
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Pena and a second by Ms. Solons. Any discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. We have amended the order of election. Next, we'll move on to discussion action item. Action item A, consider extending the terms of 6 members of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Dr. Rush.
Thank you, President Hogg. The Community Engagement Committee overseeing the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee has discussed this. The CBOC's made up of 11 members, and they rotate off every other year as staggered terms, and there is a group that is coming up that's due to expire at the end of this month, 6 individuals. And the CBOC's term as a committee is almost up because the 2009 bond is just about closed. There's a few items left. I don't have the exact dollar amount left of the projects that they're still reviewing, but the work will not extend past January of 15. And so it was recommendation, or it is the recommendation of the committee to extend those 6 individuals that are set for their term to expire in April at the end of this month to extend to January. We have to bring this to the board because that is different than what is in the original outline and charge for the CBOC. And so the 6 individuals, they have been spoken to, and they are okay with doing that to extend through January 15th. That includes Jeannie DeKine, who's the current committee chair, Beth Grimes, Gloria Davis, Juan Fernandez, Clete McAllister, and Robert Wright. As I said, they've agreed to continue on in this capacity just to extend their term rather than us going to a full application process for just a few months of work, basically. So I guess I would say that from the committee it comes to you as in the form of a motion with a second.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Reich. At this time, we have a motion, seeing no second from committee. Any discussion? Dr. Reich, let me ask you a question. What if it extends and somehow there's a delay and it needs to go past January of 2015? Would we need to bring that back then, or is...
We probably would, just because we have it codified.
Okay, so we're extended until January of 2015
That's
for this
correct.
group. Okay.
That's correct.
Just wanted some clarification.
At which point, likely, the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee will conclude.
Okay, for the 2009 bond.
For the 2009 bond, yes.
Perfect. Just want to make sure, because we're just extending for a short period, so we don't have to appoint someone to a 6-month term.
Right.
Perfect. That makes total sense. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please vote. 7 trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. We've extended 6 members on the CBOC. Next, we'll move on to consent agenda items. Are there any items to be withdrawn from the consent agenda tonight? Seeing none, we'll thank the community again, as we showed them earlier, for our donations and bids. Is there a motion to accept the consent agenda?
Move to approve.
Second.
Perfect. I hear a motion by Dr. Reich and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Ms. Powell?
We have 6 bids on the agenda this evening for your consideration, and in all cases, the administration recommends the lowest bids and the bids that represent the best value to the district. And the donations that were projected earlier total $29,340, which brings our year-to-date total to $929,468.
Thank you, Ms. Powell. And we have a motion by Dr. Reich and a second by Mr. Hibbs. Any discussion? Ms. Pena, I'm going to clear the board. Yours is still on there. Oh, let me clear it again. Okay. Let me, at this time, please vote. Seven trustees present, 7 trustees voting in the affirmative. We have passed the consent agenda. Now we'll move on to discussion items. Discussion item A, third quarter review of 2013-14 action plans for Achieve Today, Excel Tomorrow strategic plan. Dr. Cavazos.
Thank you, President Hogg. And this evening, I'd like to invite Dr. Elaine Say to come up and present the third quarterly review of our action plans for our strategic plan. Elaine, welcome.
Great, thank you. President Hogg, members of the board, and Dr. Cavazos, I'm pleased to be here again to present to you the latest quarterly results from the 14-15 action plans. So we'll just move right through those. Remember, this covers the January through March time period, and I met with staff a couple of weeks ago, and knowing very well all the work they were going to complete through the end of the month, this does actually cover all the way through last Monday, or this Monday. A couple of the action plans had some slight modifications. We had to add a couple of activities in the facilities area, and a few completion dates were adjusted. We'll start with the Inspired Learner area and Goal 1. There are basically 5 major strategic actions in this goal. The curriculum audit, of course, that work is kind of coming to fruition. The task force that's working through it with a consultant has drafted core beliefs, and they're working through to finalize their timelines in terms of implementation of their recommendations. The instructional model, the 7 strategies of assessment for learning, is being piloted across the district with almost 100 teachers. In terms of the program evaluation work, there's been a final process evaluation for the ESL bilingual program, and work continues in the other areas. And they also initiated a survey for Title I teachers regarding the services provided by instructional coaches. In the area of House Bill 5 implementation, a lot of work there. Obviously, you've adopted the graduation plan that was required under House Bill 5. The endorsement process has been completed by staff. The website is up displaying that information, question answers, all those things are up and available for parents and students. A staff committee's been formed to be able to monitor and evaluate implementation of House Bill 5. So all of that is on track. And then the local accountability system, the development process there is on track. They went out for bid, they got bids received, and they interviewed the vendors, so they will be coming back to the board with a recommendation shortly. Goal 2, higher education, career education. To me, this is one of the most exciting areas because it shows so much work that's being done between staff and the higher ed partners. Every time I work with staff and they talk about all the things they've done, I mean, these are not little small things. All of the work in this area has huge impact for kids and their careers. The new law enforcement pathway, that work will end up with a practicum with the Arlington Police Department, which I got to see right out there in a traffic accident on the road on the way here. Early college high school is well on its way. The student recruitment process is underway. They're recruiting in all the career and tech higher ed classes at grade 8 and holding parent meetings in terms of making parents aware of the early college high school and the recruitment process. And then the dual credit offerings, those are expanding and growing, giving kids lots and lots of options. And then just specific partnerships with UTA and all of the different pieces and parts there in terms of the Bound for Success program, the STEM partnership with UTA, and they're also working with UTA and the possibility of summer school dual credit classes. And then the work with TCC in terms of expanded program offerings at college access, seamless pathways, and of course their work with the early college high school. And then partnerships with Higher Ed Coordinating Board and Youth Education Town. So there's just lots of things going on in this arena that are having big impacts for students. Goal 4, world-class facilities. Of course, I know you're intimately familiar with all the things happening in that area because that's taken a lot of staff time and a lot of board time. What is new here you may not have seen is that after the board called the election, there have been 47 informational sessions that have been presented by staff, and I'm not sure if board member presentations are counted in that, but likely they are because Leslie and her staff are tracking all of those presentations. And then the area I talked about, there were a couple of activities added, And in the facilities area, it's in the work on the pre-bond planning. So we wanted to be able to capture that information, so we added a couple of activities that would indicate that pre-bond planning work that's being done. So that has been included. Goal 5 looks at safe and secure environment to the PBIS system planning for Tier 1, which will be implemented in the 14-15 school year, is finished, but staff continues to work on the planning for the other Tier 2 and Tier 3. And then another initiative is the Stop Bullying campaign, which is 45 campuses have received those presentations and training. Goal 10, highly effective teachers. And you just met Dr. Kennedy tonight as the Director of Professional Development. And a lot of the activities in that area have been on hold, awaiting the filling of that position. So, in the next update, you'll see how those things are going to work either in the rest of this year or in future or in planning for next year. Effective leadership in that area. Goal 3, lots of work on the staff retention and support. I know that the salary study was completed, then the board has approved those changes that were necessary and recommended in terms of the individual salary adjustments. And so that work has culminated and kind of actually been completed in that sense. There's also work on kind of ramping up the interview process that principals use. The HR staff's worked to develop sort of a template based on best practices that principals have been using in the district, but putting that piece together so that all principals have access to that process. Also, the district has volunteered to participate in the statewide pilot of appraisal systems at between 3 and 5 campuses. And at this point, I think, at least as of my visit with staff, all they knew at that point was they volunteered, but they had not actually had much contact in terms of what that will look like. Also, the engagement on the appraisal and performance pay pieces are on hold as a result of that piece. And as we start the planning for 14-15, we'll see all those pieces fleshed out. Also in the leadership area, customer service and culture of integrity. The second district services survey has been completed. The student survey work, which you heard about, I think, at your last board meeting, that's all scheduled and will be completed in April and May. The parent satisfaction survey will be actually all completed as of tomorrow. It had a month-long window for that. And in terms of customer service, the student registration system is online. It was used for the transfer renewals, and it will be used in the kindergarten roundup this spring. Also, HR staff is exploring a systems approach for working with staff on standards of behavior, ethics, and judgment. So there'll be more work in that area. There were some initial work at the beginning of the school year, some training, but they'll be following up in that area. Goal 9, leadership development, and this piece is really huge also. It includes not only training for the aspiring principals and the aspiring APs, and you can see all of the topics that they've covered, and they're covering, I would say, vast amounts of information in their monthly meetings, so they're really getting I don't want to say a crash course, but they're getting very intensive training in lots of different areas. The central department heads have had evidence-based EBL training. The principals have had also EBL training, around 3 site visits with a focus on evidence-based learning. And the area folks have collaborated with the principals on their work with 14-15 staffing. Deans of instructions at the high schools have been received some training on district and state assessments and on the Polaris student management system. And then in terms of leadership development, that's not really training for the leaders, but the students themselves are working in leadership roles. they're delivering presentations on high school readiness to the 8th grade career technology higher ed classes. And then another area or focus of leadership development is the Harvard Leadership Program, sponsored by Raise Your Hand Texas. 3 elementary principals in the district have been selected as finalists for that program. And then the model schools work. We have, let's see, I guess 4 and 12, 16 principals invited to attend the Model Schools Conference this summer, and 1 principal will be presenting at the conference. Engage community, goals 6 and 7, and of course I think probably the highlight for them was the parent university, the first parent university experience. They had over 30 sessions, and then they had a community resources fair. And almost 500 registrations. Their attendance was not as high as they'd hoped it would be. They would hope it would be near the registration, but there were all kinds of weather issues, if you'll recall, at that time, and we think that had some influence on the actual number in attendance. The second parent university is being developed of the work there, and the focus is on helping parents help their kids sustain the progress that they've made throughout the year, sustain that progress over the summer. There has been a soft launch of the online training program for parents of young children, the birth to 4-year-olds, and they have 740 participants so far. And I know you've heard about the Fuel Up to Play 60 program that focuses on, that partnership that's focusing on nutrition and physical activity. I saw in your last board meeting that you had, Dr. Cavazos actually reported to you about that partnership, and there's going to be there is a task force that will work to support that partnership. And then also there's planning work being done to extend the recognition of, or expand the recognition of volunteers. And the volunteer function will occur in May, but they made plans to recognize more volunteers than have been recognized in prior years. The last goal in the engaged community area is Goal 11, which deals with communication and the strategic plan awareness. The staff is continuing to provide the pieces that help support the strategic plan in terms of the fact sheets, annual reports, web updates. The focus has been on the Police Academy, Engineering Academy, and the STEM dual credit programs. Also, communication and the work in terms of the district's work on long-range planning through, I think, Dr. Cavazos' presentations at Midwinter on MPE and on the Fire Academy programs. And then the communications staff has developed an internal communications plan related to the bond proposition. And to provide information to them, they've held special meetings and had specific email communication for both central and campus staff. So I guess that's probably not counted in those 47 other community and other meetings, but this is an internal communications piece. And next steps, we'll have the next review will cover the last 3 months of April, May, June, and at that time we'll also be presenting information on the development of action plans for 14-15. Okay. Questions? That's that side.
Ms. Say, at this time we'll open up for questions for colleagues. Sure. I'm sorry, Dr. Reich.
Thank you for the overview, Ms. A. It's great to hear the summation of everything that the district is taking on right now. I'm certainly pleased. Would you say we're still hitting all the marks?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I really think almost, it's kind of hard to compare from quarter to quarter, but I really think this quarter has seen kind of really a leap, or really a lot of work being done in this particular quarter. You know, we schedule things throughout the year, and some things do get pushed off or whatever, but I think this last quarter we've seen a substantial amount, some catch-up work, but a substantial amount of really big new initiatives taking place. Really seems, in terms of the reporting, that you know, especially in the higher ed career area, just so many things that specifically touch kids in a more direct way than, say, the effective leadership piece does at this level. But you know, you see so many things touching kids every day.
It's amazing the efficient process that is being attained here, with the goal of having everything tied to the strategic plan. That's what we talk about all the time.
Yep.
So thank you for helping and monitoring and keeping track of this. And Dr. C, thanks again. We're so pleased. Thank you.
Very well said, Dr. Reich. Ms. Solons.
Thank you, President Hogg. Thank you for being with us again this evening, and what a long list of accomplishments in a short period of time, and I feel like there's tremendous momentum for the district. I did have just a question. Under the parent community engagement piece, we talk about the Ready Rosie program. I was curious, how do we identify the birth to 4 cohort that participates in that program?
Let's see. Is Erin, can you answer? I could answer, but it's probably not going to be exactly the right answer, so get the experts here.
We always like Ms. Smith on the microphone.
That's through the library, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's through federal stuff too.
It's federal money, federal, and then also through the library process that we're working with, partnering with the Arlington Library as well. I believe.
I see Ms. Johnson walking in.
Ms. Johnson, we're going to get it all together.
Luckily, we have everyone here together.
Teamwork,
so.
teamwork.
We have Erin out giving a bond presentation.
Yeah.
So it's actually done through several ways. We're partnering with the library. We've also made contact with some of the hospitals and some of the community organizations, the YMCA, all of our community partners, and we're getting them the information. We also post it online and Facebook and Twitter and so.
Perfect. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I remember in discussions with Aaron, he was talking about just parents talking to one another and helping spread the word.
Thank you, Ms. Solons. Mr. Pompa.
Thank you, President Hogg. I was just going to pick up on what you mentioned in terms of there's a lot of actual initiatives, coming forward. And I think that we've moved from that first year that was all more of an evaluation year or a gap analysis, establishing, just what the needs were, recognizing that now we're actually executing. And so it feels to me like we're right on track to really see the impact of all these initiatives the third year, which is kind of what we had expected. Although I think we see some improvements already, and some measurables already. And specifically about that, one of the programs that, I keep looking at, and I don't know, maybe we do and I forgot, the Leadership Training Academy for principals. Do we have any way to measure the effectiveness of that training? So we know that we have people going through that program, and that's a good metric. But how do we know that it's actually making them better principals?
We had a long discussion about this, and actually there are 2 activities within that action plan that deals with aspiring principals and assistant principals. One of the activities involves tracking people once they finish the academy, because the point of it is to get them ready to take a different leadership role than the one they're in now. And so one activity is to implement or design a tracking system once they move out of the program. And then there's another activity that specifically says evaluate the success of the, no, it says evaluate the implementation of the actual academies. And although we, when we were working with staff to discuss what the work that had been done, they have already started, even though the evaluation piece is not due to be reported on until the next quarter, they have already had lots of thoughts and discussions among themselves in terms of how the academies may need to be modified to improve and so forth. So those activities are in the plan and to be reported on. And they've also decided that as part of that evaluation of those academies, they need to determine how, or they need to figure out how they'll determine the success of the academy in terms of the placement of people into other roles. Mm-hmm. And so all of that is included in that planning already. Those activities are in there. And so next time I report, we should have some things more specific to respond in terms of the evaluation, but that's all built in.
Yeah, and it's early on because we're barely getting people out of there, and so it's going to take some time to tell. But I think that, you know, just comparing the success of those of those people that become principals or assistant principals versus the people that have not gone through the program would be an obvious comparison evaluation to say, okay, yes, because the expectation is that because they go through this, they should be better. We need to verify to make sure that
happens,
it is in case.
The training's working.
Yeah, that the training is working, and we're getting better, a better quality of applicants and better quality of principals all the way through the system.
I think the area superintendents and Michael are all well aware, and you know, I think they're processing that every time they meet and every time they work with the groups.
And then one other one in terms of the statewide pilot of appraisal systems. That's teacher evaluations, right?
Teacher and principal, but we're doing the teacher one.
Yeah, the teacher one. We've talked about doing our own. Where are we in relation? So the state one is going to go on its own pace. Are we moving forward with our own district-based evaluation system?
Yes, and that's part of the RFP that we're going to put out at the end of this year, actually, for performance pay and evaluation systems. But because the state's changing from PDAS, and they have a pretty aggressive deadline within 1 year, we thought it'd be important to get on that pilot and see if there's going to be some natural kind of fits, because part of the requirement from the state is that they have some performance measures in their appraisal, both for principals and teachers. And so we're going to see if we can pilot that, gain some capacity at the same time.
Okay, and I guess my concern is as long as that doesn't slow down our efforts to develop our own evaluation system, because I mean, just from seeing what the state has come up to now in terms of an evaluation system, but by the time that we get everybody across the state to agree on something, it's pretty watered down and it's not as effective as what we're looking for. Here, we're going to end up with another PDAS just renamed. And so, you know, I'd rather make sure that we're doing our own evaluation system that'll be, I think, more effective for us, for Arlington, than what the state is coming up for the whole state. So, okay, thank you. Thanks, Elaine.
Mr. Pomp, are you implying that local control is a good thing?
I may be making that impression.
I hope you are, because I agree with you 100% on that. We are big supporters of local control. This question, instead of for Dr. Say, maybe for Dr. Cavazos, as we send these principals, I know we've had them go in the past, as one of the leadership developments to the Raise Your Hand Texas Harvard leadership, are they then coming back and taking that knowledge and presenting it to our other principals so that we can grab onto that and use that as a leadership training tool?
Specifically the training in the summer, they present it back to the principals, what they learned in Harvard, for example. The Raise Your Hand Texas initiative, it's more of a cohort and a group, and so they do share out, but it's mostly the work with them right now because it's the first year.
Okay. Well, always want to make sure when they're going, and I guess the same thing would go with Mr. Pompa. Are we tracking is that a successful use? How are we measuring that is successful programs to have them spend time, their own time, which is a great piece, but we're also encouraging them to go and spend that time at Harvard for some of the leadership training.
Exactly, and I think the Raise Your Hand Texas has a built-in measure because they're wanting to evaluate the effect as well.
Of course, perfect. Any other questions? Dr. Say, we always like to see you.
Thank you.
We're glad you're always here. We're glad
you.
you're still helping us evaluate, and it's nice to be able to go, and I think I speak on behalf of my colleagues, it's nice to be able to go in the community and say, we have a strategic plan that is truly being utilized. We live and die with it. It's a breathing document that we are working on every single day, and we bring you up more than you probably want us to talk to you about you in the community, that we even bring in an outside person to make sure we're evaluating and take a look and make sure we're really following the strategic plan. So I thank you for your time, and I thank you for coming in to the Arlington area to help us with this. Next, we'll move to open forum for non-agenda items. I don't have any cards unless I'm going to be corrected. Perfect. We see no cards. We'll move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. C.
Thank you, President Hogg, and I'd like to report some information about our district and our students. I was invited to take part in a very exciting and rewarding experience Wednesday, and you've heard about this one, at Sam Houston High School, where 6 students were awarded $246,000 worth of scholarship, each one of them, as part of TCU Community Scholars Program. This is a test to Sam Houston High School and their work with students. I can tell you that the kind of the prize patrol from TCU and the media that was there was just simply outstanding. The school culture was extremely responsive to this. The students had no idea. They had obviously applied and been finalists and things like that, but they didn't know if they were selected and which ones were. And so it was a real surprise. It was really enjoyable to be there at Sam Houston with Fernando and the kids.
So much that one student was homesick.
That's right.
Correct?
I'm sure they'll find that student.
What a surprise.
Students at Hale Elementary had a special visitor, and that's Lynn Hale, the namesake of the school, and she was able to visit. And so the students were very happy to see her and had some singing for her and things like that and welcomed her to her namesake school. All of our schools have been getting ready and preparing, obviously, for STAR testing that took place this week in many cases, and many of them had special events to motivate their kids to do the very best. And so Bailey Junior High had a Code Red, where they decorated the school red and gave away many prizes and gift cards to students, and all culminated with a pep rally last Friday. I think you were there.
I look like a grumpy person in the back, so not the best picture there.
There was a T-shirt too. Thank you. Evensley Elementary also had a STAR pep rally where Bowie High School cheerleaders and drumline and football players performed and spoke and motivated them. Crow Elementary had a STAR rally that included guests from the Dallas Mavericks and worked to motivate the students there. Pope Elementary, 5th grade teachers, had treated their students as stars for the STAR test, dressing as Hollywood directors and having them walk down the red carpet to their classrooms. And so that was, I don't know if it was up there or not. Finally, I had the honor of celebrating our Teacher of the Years winners in the past weeks, and many of them were honored in the Teacher of the Year banquet. They were recognized in the Masonic Lodge Teacher of the Excellence program, the Kiwanis Teacher of the Year luncheon, and so different events throughout the district honoring our teachers and Teacher of the Year. So congratulations to all Teacher of the Year recipients for their hard work. Their work truly is appreciated. And that concludes my report.
Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Vassos. At this time, we'll have school board reports. Mr. Hibbs.
Dr. Cavazos was named Citizen of the Year for the Elks Club, a very prestigious honor, and he has received several awards like that, so I don't want to pass that up. That is a awesome thing that he's been able to do. We also like to recognize Michael Hill, whose birthday is this evening, and we appreciate the hard efforts that he's put in this. But the staff has been working very diligently over the past month and making sure that we can share the facts of the bond and allow the individuals at the schools to make informed decisions. So I want to thank them for their extra efforts and hard work.
Very true, Mr. Hibbs. Any other board reports? Seeing none, I want to thank all the schools as most of STAR is completed. They still have first round. There's another section. Remember, my wife's a 5th grade teacher, so I see the stress. We skimmed over her picture, but I know she's so tired. She's not watching the board meeting, so we're okay on that. So everyone's done a great job. Our schools have done a great job getting the students ready, and they're prepped, and no matter what, we're good. So we're proud of them no matter what occurs. They've worked really hard at this. Any other comments? Seeing as that, we will adjourn this meeting at 8:20.